I still feel the same as the day we first met. This could be the last time I will ever say to you, well, good night, sleep well, I love you.
Record. I don't really use metaphors much in my songwriting anymore. I think with everything that's happened over the last couple of years, it's easier to write if I just say how I feel, if I just get it out there. This one it's an example of that, really. It says what it needs to say. There's no real deeper meaning to be derived from it other than, here it is. Good night, sleep well, I love you was the text I used to send them whenever we were apart. It just kind of became a habit, really. When it looked like that part of my life was changing, I sent that text to them one night, like normal, didn't really think anything of it. And then I thought, fuck, I might never say that to you again. At that point, I realized exactly what was happening, and I freaked out. I freaked out, and I started writing a lot.
I've lost track of all the times I tried to call you, knowing every time you won't pick up. Good night, sleep well, I love you.
I wrote the first verse and chorus, thought it was all right, and then left it alone. This is July 2020 at this point. I was going through something, and as a result, I couldn't really focus on anything. I had 1,000,001 song ideas, and I couldn't finish any of them. It was left like that for a good year and a half, just kind of stuck in limbo like a lot of the ideas that I had during that time. It stayed like that until I became a musician on cruise ships. Every cruise, there was a small group of people who were interested in what I did, and they enjoyed listening to me. And there was a smaller subgroup of that group who were interested in the fact that I was a songwriter, and they wanted to hear what I'd written. I didn't really have a lot of originals that I was proud of at the time, so I kind of finished this one. I just went back to it and thought about it for a while, and eventually the rest of it just kind of came to me over time. I ended up playing it a couple times until April. There was this one cruise in April, and there was this one particular group of people who, for some reason or another, I'll never really understand it, but they fucking loved it. It might have been taking the piss, to be fair. I'm not entirely sure. I can't really tell. But they seemed to really enjoy my stuff, and they seemed to really enjoy that one. That was satisfaction enough for me. You know, I was happy. It was kind of difficult to get people to enjoy what I was doing when I was just doing covers, but the fact that there was this small group of people who had heard something that I'd written, and it was a personal thing about what was still pretty much a very open wound, and they enjoyed it and they were responding well to it, you know, I was like, yeah, you know, job well done. Then they asked for it again another night, and this time they sung it back to me, which I suppose in the grand scheme, as a songwriter and as someone who wants to be globally successful and renowned by a lot of people, that's the end game, really. Having people sing your own words back to you, that's what it's really all about.
Good night, sleep well, I love you. Good night, sleep well, I love you. Good night, sleep well, I love you.
It was the first time people had heard a song that I'd written and sung it back to me. And you know, you hear musicians all the time in interviews saying there's no greater feeling than being in Wembley Stadium with 80,000 people all singing your own words back to you. And there was 4, 5 people doing it. And like, fucking hell, the feeling is as good as the musicians sell it to be. It was an achievement. It was the first time. And again, in the grand scheme, it's the reason why I do this. That's why I also included the live recording. Those people that I'm referencing in this, they're the people singing along, and they're the people cheering in that live recording. They're the first people to ever do that for something that I've written, and I think it's something worth commemorating. In fact, I think it's actually quite important to commemorate that, because, you know, some people don't have that moment recorded, but this time I do, and that moment is immortalized. wasn't actually planning on releasing this song. I'm working on a record and this song isn't on it. It might have found its home on a record in the future, but I didn't really write it and then finish writing it and think, shit, that's really good. We got to put that out now. That group who sang along to it, honestly, it kind of changed my mindset of the whole thing. I kind of did a complete 180. I started looking at it from a different light and thinking, yeah, that is pretty good. Actually, certainly better than my older stuff, without a shadow of a doubt. When I came back from traveling, I knew I wanted to release it, and I wanted to release it fast. So I kind of just thought to myself, you know what, screw it, let's just do it bare bones. Just me, a guitar, let's do an acoustic version of it. Let's not dress it up with anything, so we can get it out faster. And it still ended up taking as long as it has. I've been home for a week, and I said I'd get this demo recorded very, very quickly, like the moment I got home. And I haven't done it for a week. The reason why I'm stalling so much is because I hate recording. I hate recording stuff so much because I am not technically perfect in any way and I mess up all the time. I mean, the plan was originally when I wrote it to, you know, make it a proper, fully fledged studio recording. You know, you've probably heard what it was sounding like throughout this video, and at some point I might go back to it, but right now I feel like it's raw and it's vulnerable, and I think because of what it's talking about, it deserves to be like that. I'm not one of those songwriters who writes a song and then records a demo of it immediately. I'd like to think I'm pretty good at remembering how the songs that I write would go in my mind. I don't really need to record a demo to remember it, and so most of the time I finish a song and I just leave it and go on to the next one. Now that I've recorded it, I have been forced to listen to it 1 billion trillion times, and yeah, honestly, I really like it. I mean, obviously I really like it. I wouldn't be putting it out if I didn't. Again, now that I've listened to it a lot of times, and, you know, I wrote those lyrics, but you kind of write lyrics sometimes and then you just leave it alone for a little bit. But listening to those lyrics again and again and again, I kind of realize, yeah, they are pretty good, and I really do like the song. I think it's some of my best writing. I really love the line, "Get out of my mind and get back in my bed," and I wrote it 2 years ago. I can't tell you where that came from an inspiration point, but I really like that line. I think the bridge is pretty good too. I've been trying to work on my Taylor Swift game, trying to get the bridges to be the absolute best they can be, and I love this one. I really like singing it. That's also another thing about writing songs, is like, you can write a song and think it's really good, but if you don't enjoy playing it live, it kind of takes it down a couple notches. And this one, yeah, I really enjoy playing it live. It's got a kind of swing to it, and it's a positive kind of key for a negative kind of song.
I've told myself I will only do one take of these vocals. For those of you who don't know, that is my kryptonite. I am the worst perfectionist. I will just do 1,000 vocal takes just to try and get one full take absolutely right. This is not going to go well. We shall persevere! Shall persevere.
I've honestly got to say thanks to that group. And if they're watching this, they know who they are. And if they've happened to listen to the song, then they know that I was planning on putting it out because of them. So it's really for them. You know, they liked it, they sung it, and honestly, they really gave the song an entirely new lease of life in my mind. You know, if they hadn't responded to some of my originals as well as they did, I don't think I would have thought of finishing this one. I don't think I would have thought, let's release this one. So honestly, this thing is for them and because of them. So thank you very much if you happen to be watching this very obscure behind the song.
Good night, sleep well, I love you.